trying to fly. I think if we ever learn to fly, it's probably not going to be with our arms. I think we're going to have like some turbo stuff shooting out our butts, and then we'll elevate and learn with perfect sphincter control how to direct it in other directions. Am I live? Yay! I really hope that was the beginning of the live. That'd be great. And hello, everybody out there in Facebook land. Nice to be with you. We have the lovely and amazing Monica Gilliam. Yay! We have the lovely and amazing Suzy Godsey. Yay! And we are here at the Maestro class, broadcasting in Houston and all around the world, and it has been awesome. And I wanted to do this live during the class to amp up the contribution that the maestros can be, and just because it would be fun. And one of the things we're doing, a lot of people are like, what's a maestro? A maestro is somebody who has a desire to use the energies that are available to create a greater world for everybody. And what I'm trying to do with the class is let them know they can, show them everything they're friggin' capable of. And we're having a great start to that. So welcome. Today, I don't know if you can tell by my colored top, my whole like thing here, but basically we're gonna be talking to plants, okay? And the wonderfulness of these two ladies, I cannot tell you. I'm so grateful to be here with you both. And I don't know where to look at Suzy. Suzy for me is over here, so grateful to be here with you both. She's under me. This is maybe the first time I've had Suzy under me ever. And I've known her for years. This is wonderful. This is a new day, kids. So, oh, there we are.
I'm honored to be under you.
I am honored to be on top of you. Thank you. Wouldn't it be a different world if when you were having sex with somebody, they looked up and went, I am honored to be under you. And they would look down and go, I am honored to be on top of you. Oh, kinder world already. You feel the earth relax. Okay. So who's going to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
So
we have a child siren in the back of the room. You probably can't hear it, but just so you know, if you hear a child siren, that's what's going on.
So I could actually talk about this for like a long time, nonstop. So there's one thing that I wanted to start with right away, which is like talking to anything involves being present with what it is that you're talking to. And so a lot of what we're doing in the Maestro class and in Access in general and in the Earth Wizards extravaganza is like asking ourselves and each other to be really present with everything that is around us and like being energetically present and allowing yourself to notice subtle changes. That's like the key to conversations. And one thing that I like to play with when I start a conversation with a plant is just going up to it and noticing it. And like the really cool thing that I've noticed is that just turning your attention to anything you get to be included in what's going on with that thing. And that conversation, it starts to be a place where you get to explore the energy that's there, whatever it is. And just you're turning your attention to it. It's like a fertilizer. It gives life to, or it gives energy to whatever it is that you turn toward, you know. So like I said, I could go on and on, but
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And one of the things Suzy does also is talk to animals, kind of the way Monica talks to plants, but she talks to plants too. See, the three of us have this terrible thing. We love energetic interaction with things. And the beauty of interacting with a plant is it's an element of consciousness that interacts with you. And an animal is an element of consciousness that interacts with you. And what Monica said about that first moment, you put your attention on it. But what it really requires is the presence. You know that saying that people, often don't take time to smell the roses? Well, it's like they're not often present with the beauty of what the roses are gifting. Like, you can't see it, but over on my table over there, there's this beautiful bouquet. It's absolutely gorgeous. And we were about to start sessions, and I was like, oh, look at the roses, and I went over and I'm like, hello. And there's this simultaneity of gifting and receiving when you're present. And I'm so grateful you started with that, because that is one of the elements that if we change that one thing, changes how our whole world functions, changes how our world personally functions. But if you look at it, we have a world of people who are very seldom present. They're very seldom present. And I'm looking around the room, by the way, if you're watching online going, what is he looking at? All the people in the room. I'm being present with them too. But that one thing, and I think Suzy, so I love that you started with that, because I don't think you even talked to Suzy about what we were talking about, did you? I love consciousness, it's fucking awesome. So now over to Suzy for more about presence.
Yes, which is, yeah, like you said, Dain, it's pretty funny that I just mentioned to you that I stole this from you many years ago. You used to be doing this in classes, and I continued using it because it is such a phenomenal tool. And so I wanted to actually encourage everyone who is watching right now to do this little exercise with us, if you will. And it's easy. It's easy, and it will give you a different sense of being present. So, and it's so simple. So right now, just perceive and be aware of your feet on the ground, your butt on your chair, and now pick any other third thing that involves your body. So it could be your hand on your leg or your belly, or it could be your breath, or you could even look at a spot and just with a soft focus. And now the trick is to be aware of all those three spots at the same time. So be aware of them all at the same time. And when you do that, you can't think. So stop thinking and just do it.
And how fast does it happen?
It's like, it's instant. And sometimes it's also gone within a split second because you start thinking. And so then just do it again and just be aware of those three spots simultaneously again. And now also expand out in all directions. And Dain has done this with you before. So expand out into the universe. Yeah. Be aware of those three spots.
Cool.
Ooh. And so when you do that, when you're next to a plant, it might actually give you more of a sense of that plant right away. You might be like, whoa, hello.
Yeah, or if you happen to be living on the planet or something, because we tend to do something like that. And then one of the things I would like to invite is the ease of it. And maybe it takes a little bit of practice, because also here's the weird part about being present. We try to think ourselves into being present, or we try to think what being present is, or we try to go, oh, I am thinking this, therefore I am present. No, usually present is when you're not thinking, which you're like, yeah, but how do I know if I'm being present? Well, are you thinking? No, then you're present. Shut up. It's so much easier than any of us give ourselves credit for. And that's one of the things from my point of view that the plants and the animals in the world show us, is how fucking easy it is. So for me, as soon as you said do that, I was like, oh, boom. And it just was. And then you said expand out, and I went, okay. And it takes half a second. And so everything you've all done out there in the world, because you've done all kinds of wonderfully significant things from significant people who made it significant to prove that you needed them to do it, and you needed them to be teaching you, and they knew more than you, and they made it so fucking difficult so it would seem so significant so they could justify charging you for it or whatever it was. You just try and create all that shit, please. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pot, call 9, shorts, boys and beyonds. This is about one of the things about access, one of the targets of access, and we also call it a mantra, is all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. Now, did you notice something occur with that? Because a lot of these shifts, and what you're going to notice with the plants, is a lot of these shifts are so subtle, but sometimes the most subtle shift can be the most world-changing. So we suggest you use this mantra. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory, 10 times in the morning and 10 times in the evening, because if you'd like your life to show up with ease, there's one really cool way to create it. Ask for it. Meme. Okay, ask for it. And this is what you're doing. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory, 10 times in the morning, 10 times in the evening. That's your ask for that to occur. I don't need those. Okay.
So one thing for myself in particular with plants is that like, I just enjoy them. And that, I know, it's crazy, right? But it's like that appreciation, that admiring, that like that engages me, you know, to have this sense of ease and the joy and the like, when you're present with something that brings a sense of wonder into your world, that you're just like, oh, look, and it's this color, or it's this shape, and oh, it's different today than it was yesterday, or whatever. Like that's an easy shortcut to engagement. Like, and it might be different for different people. Like they may be more interested in animals, or like jewels, or buildings, or whatever. But like when you have that spark of like interest that leads to that curiosity of the exploration, like that just, it makes it so much easier, or that's my point of view, to engage with that, you know?
But do you notice her childlike wonder with it? It's like that. And also, like, think about any area of your life where you still have that childlike wonder. How wonderful is that area of your life? And some of you are like, I don't have any of those areas. Well, you know what? Your target between now and the next live is to find one. To find one thing that you can feel that way about again, okay? Whatever it is. Maybe you want to search like the best online sex toys. I don't know. Maybe if you have a childlike wonder about it, lights you up, go for it, okay? Maybe it's you explore plants, or you explore, there's so much to explore in this world. You know, something that lights you up and you get kind of excited when you think about it. And that also, coupled with that level of presence, creates this interaction with you and it. Because think about when somebody comes up to you and they're like, hello. Is there anywhere to go? Is there anything to do? And so many people want to prove that they've already got everything figured out and they know how terrible everything is already, so don't try to even talk to me about something. How fun to be around, you know? And that's the same thing when you go to interact with a plant. It's like the same thing, but the plant's just like, hi. But if you have that childlike wonder that's like the plant, that's like, hi. The plant is like, oh my goodness, hi. Most people aren't like you, hi. You know? And it's this great gift of how we energetically can be different in the world that opens up a totally different space.
And it's so exciting too, because, you know, I forget the Japanese physician, or
Dr. Emoto.
Yeah, who was doing the different things with water and noticing that like basically you can project something at the consciousness of whatever, and it'll actually respond. And it can respond in ways that we would call beautiful, or ways that we would call ugly, or ways that are like, make it kind of fall apart, or ways that make it grow, you know, and you can do that with plants, you know, and you can actually see it. I think there was also a bunch of different things with all of the bullying initiatives going on where they would, at different schools, they'd have plants in two places, and one plant they would have the kids yell at, and the next plant, not having incredibly different light or water, they would have the kids go up to and like say encouraging things to, and the plants that were yelled at would just fall apart. And the plants that were just given that sense of like appreciation would totally thrive.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love so much about this is like, I mean, how easy is that? Like, if you could walk down the street and actually get the street to bloom even more just by being present with it, like, you get to reap the rewards of that right away. But not only do you get to reap the rewards of that, it feeds the other plants and the animals and the insects and the dirt, you know, and it's like, how easy is that? Just to go up to something and be like, wow, you're beautiful. I mean, we could do this with each other, but we might want to start with a plant because it won't turn you down. It won't judge you. It won't
be angry when you try to admire it too much.
I know. When you like fondle deep inside the petals, it doesn't get upset.
So, have you ever noticed with people that, I'll just let your perverted minds go where they went. Okay. I just saw some interesting visuals of things with plants that I didn't need to see, but that's fine. That was good. Have you ever noticed with people, if you give them too much admiration, too much adoration, they shut down in weird ways or they try to make you wrong? You know, one of the things that Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, has said for years is, if you try to give someone what they're unwilling to receive, they will return it to you with daggers attached. But plants don't have anything they're unwilling to receive. Even if you yell at it, it's like, okay, I'll receive that. That's where you are today. I'll probably fall apart and die tomorrow, but for today, I'm here receiving it. You know, and it responds accordingly to the energy that you provide for it. But part of the reason for bringing this out, this conversation with plants, is every element in the universe has consciousness. You know, Einstein said, every molecule has consciousness. Therefore, every cell has consciousness. Every element in the universe has consciousness. Your consciousness interacting with its consciousness creates a different possibility for consciousness. So part of what this is about then is looking at what are you directing at all the things in the world? The plants, your house, your friends, your spouse, your lover, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your children, your parents, your planet. Because the sum total of all of those ways that we are being and interacting with everything in our lives create the sum total of the energies on the planet. And we truly have a dynamic impact when we start to function more from gratitude, from childlike wonder, from joy, from a sense of possibilities, from an admiration of beauty. It's like we just kind of open up. And so I don't know if it's too heavy to carry over here, but I just want to, we'll be able to see part of it, right? Here, there. And while I'm at it, hello. Okay, so you can practice with our bouquet. Except we're off center, but that's okay. Here. I'm not too particular.
And Dain, can I add like a little piece to that? Because so many times what I notice is that we decide that certain plants are beautiful or certain animals are beautiful and others are not, or we decide that we cannot receive from like a weed, or, you know, it has to be a rose, it has to be this beautiful flower that we look at, and we overlook the possibility to receive from these things that we have doomed Like, for example, you know, take a cockroach. Like, who is going to say, oh my God, today I saw this cockroach and it was so beautiful and it was so wonderful to receive. Yeah, right. You guys are different. So, you know, and I see that so often, that we have this weird ranking, you know, oh God, yeah, I want to see an eagle, I want to see a dolphin, but I'm not gonna really want to see the skunk that's running through my yard. So what could,
Unless he's
yeah,
riding a dolphin.
exactly. I
Cool
just,
visual.
yeah. I just
That.
wanted to say, like, really, truly, you know, it's sometimes people think it's so easy to receive from what they have judged as beautiful, but what if we could also receive from what we judge as ugly?
Oh, thank you. Because you know what? All of that is judgment. And judgment is basically what is killing our planet and killing us. And if we could do that, if we could be present and get over judgment, we'd have a different world tomorrow. I mean, think of how many things you judge in your body on a daily basis. Think about how many judgments went through your head just yesterday. And you guys are people who desire something different. But then what do? You then judge that you're wrong for having judged, which of course doesn't decrease the judgment, it increases the judgment. But a place that we can start is exactly like Suzy said, to look at go on a walk around your neighborhood and look at every plant you see and see the beauty in it. See the beauty in the color. And the other thing is, if you happen to live in a place, like even just Suzy's background behind her, it's like there's so many shades of green in just the things behind Suzy. Like, notice the beauty of each different shade. But once again, you don't have to sit and focus on it, okay? The idea that we've been sold is we must somehow sit and focus. And if we think we're bad, no, you get it in a moment. It occurs in a nanosecond. That's how fast it is. So it doesn't have to be as difficult as we've been told that it is. But that idea, think about that for just a moment. We have been judged to only receive that which we have already judged, or that other people have judged as beautiful, so it's okay. Except, look at what kids do with kids who are different, who don't fit the norm. It's like starting to look what friends do to you when you don't fit the norm. How much judgment do they do? But the energy of you, like we talked about in the last live, I hope we talked about it on the last live. Oh, we did? Thank you. I'm glad that Monica knows everything I've ever talked about. She takes notes. She's awesome. She likes me so much that she takes notes of everything I say. May also be part of her job or something too, but I like to think it's because she likes me so much. Yeah. Everything that brought up, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, truth was you. Nobody in the room even laughed at that one. Except, I know you did, just quietly. Quiet laughter. So everything you've done to believe in the value of judgment, and that if you can just judge things as right enough, then you can receive them. But if you don't, you can't. Will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyond.
As you're talking about that, one thing that comes up is like, God, how fortunate are we to have such diversity? You know, like Suzy bringing up the weeds or the cockroaches or, you know, these different things. It's like each different element of creation had something that's such a gift, you know, and like you can walk along somewhere and just by looking at the weeds or the plants that are there, you can know what's going on with the soil. And those plants are actually working with the soil to nurture the earth. And they will, you know, you can have a bunch of seeds that blow everywhere and they grow in one place, not another place, because of like everything else that's going on there. And there's just this like intricate richness of all of these different life forms creating together. And if we like take certain things away because we've like judged it as ugly or whatever, then we actually we make our lives poorer. You know, we create this lack that actually takes away what could nourish all of us. So like even the cockroach, it's doing some amazing things. You might not want to like hang out with it all day, you know, but like you don't have to in order to like actually appreciate it. And there's one thing for me, like with talking to plants, that it's I actually do go and talk to them. I don't always move my mouth, but I'll just ask questions, and that asking questions starts to like, I get to follow my own curiosity, and then I'll start to get information. It may not be right in that second, but like if I'm walking down a street, you know, and I see a bunch of a certain kind of weed, I'll just ask like, what are you guys doing? What's going on here?
Okay, so give us a couple. I love the thing that you said the other day about, you know, asking your plants what you could contribute. And one of the questions I ask you guys to ask every day, Earth, what can I contribute? So let's all ask right now, Earth, what can I contribute to you today? And 99% of the time for me, it's something I can receive, which is of course the way the Earth would contribute. Okay. And also, let's ask Earth, what can we contribute to you today? Okay. Now, with that, let's do some 1, 2, 3s to gift the Earth whatever energy we can contribute and receive. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And on 4 for a different future. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, doing that energetically, you have no idea cognitively a lot of times what you're contributing to, but that doesn't mean you're not contributing. It's like, that's where you get the lightness of the awareness to just contribute, and then the Earth can do with it what it will. So just wanted to remind you of that too. So the other day where you were talking to your plants and said, what can I contribute to you?
Well, it's funny because like I ask people a lot of the time to go hang out with the tree. For some reason, people have a different place in their world for trees. They're more substantial. It's very interesting, but it's quite different with trees. And when I was asking people that once, the biggest thing that everybody got was that the trees were just like, please, let me contribute to you. And then, you know, how that contribution shows up is very different. But what I like to play with is like, go along and just like go on a walk and just let yourself go by all of the plants and then ask, which plants would like to contribute to me today? And then just notice if you stop somewhere. And then do what Dain has been suggesting of like lower your walls and barriers and just allow yourself to receive something in the universe, really sending you whatever that energy is.
Well, and one other thing about that is it's a lot of times it's really subtle. Yeah. It's like really subtle, which is why I say that thing of we must sit and focus on the plant. It's like, hey, what do you got for me? Boom. Okay. Move on. Or you could stay with it for a little while and be like, that was awesome. Got anything else? Can I contribute something to you? What can I contribute to you? Hello. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh my goodness, you're amazing. Hello. Oh, I'm so glad we had this interaction. Thank you very much. And you go away from it lighter. Literally, like these elements of consciousness that are gifting continuously. And here's the thing about the receiving part of that. How many times have you ever done something that was wonderful? Or like, have you ever had one of those times where you are just going to get somebody the greatest gift because you adore them so much, and you do research or you like spend a lot of money or something, whatever the valuable thing about it is for you, but you find that perfect thing that you know will just make them so happy, and they go, oh, thanks. What does that do? It feels like a dagger in your heart. Why? Because you were so excited to gift, because part of the gift of gifting is when the gift is received. It's the way plants, animals, and we function when we're not thinking. The simultaneity of gifting and receiving. And with every element in the universe, when you gift, you also receive. And when you receive simultaneously the gift that something is, it's a gift back to it. So if you ever had where you gave somebody a gift that was like, you were either excited or not, but it was sort of like you didn't have too much energy on it, you give it to them and like, oh my God, thank you so much. This is exactly what I required. And it lit up your world. Well, this energetically is the same thing that we can do with plants. Like right now, like I'm just like, wow, you guys are stunningly beautiful. You found yourself in a florist where they put you together stunningly beautifully. You make an awesome collage, melange, as it were. And I'm just like, hi. And they're like, hello. Okay. And it's just that. And also, though, you could ask the plant other stuff if you want to. Remember, everything in the universe has consciousness. And the plants have not only a consciousness, but they've got this aliveness and a connection with the earth that animals have also. One of the things that gave me this awareness, I was in Milan and I was facilitating an energetic synthesis, a being class. And I worked on this phenomenal lady. She was in her 60s and she had 4th stage cancer. And so I got the hit to call her up for a session and I started working on her. And it was so beautiful. And I don't think this woman had ever been touched with kindness a day in her life. And so I was just present with her. And a lot of other people are like, are you going to try to heal her cancer? I'm like, no, I don't do that, number one. But what I can do is give her peace in her body and let her actually know what it is to have joy and peace in a body. And so I did this, and 45 minutes later, the lady sits up and she looks so different, like she actually was here. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful and so transformative for me, I couldn't talk anymore. So I ended class a little bit early and I went across the street to the park. And in this different space that this lady in the session with her had gifted me, okay, that's the gifted me. I was gifting her. She gifted me every bit as much as I gifted her. My world changed. And I would ask you to invite your world to change in wonderful, phenomenal, great, amazing, joyful ways, you know, because if you ask, you receive. Maybe not today, but eventually. So anyway, I go over to the park and there are these big, beautiful trees there. And I was just being with them. And there was no need to do anything other than just be with them. And I was like, and then I went, hey, trees, what do you have for me? Because sometimes you get a sense that something has something for you. And you go, hey, what do you have? Not a significance. And there, what I noticed was these energetic tendrils that the trees had down into the earth. And I was like, oh, you are connected, not just through your roots, but through the energy that you're willing to gift and receive with the earth. And I was like, wow, I felt like my world expanded even more. My heart opened up even more. My being opened up even more. And so I was walking and I noticed this dog with its owner. And I noticed the dog still had the tendrils of energy down into the earth. And the owner, who was probably in their 40s or 50s, didn't at all. It was like the tiniest amount. And I was like, oh, shit. And then I noticed these children playing. And I noticed they still had the tendrils down into the earth. And I'm going, oh my goodness, this is an interesting awareness. And then I noticed a parent pushing their child. It would have been more interesting a story if the child was pushing the parent in the stroller. But in this case, that was not what was going on. So anyway, I noticed a parent pushing a child in the stroller, and the child had these tendrils. They weren't even connected to the earth, quote unquote, like by standing on it. And there were these tendrils from its body down into the earth, and the energy was going both directions. And with the parent, hardly at all. And I was like, holy shit, one of the things that we learn that is so destructive, if you will, to the living energy of our planet is to disconnect from it. Because most people on this planet are just using it, walking on top of it, thinking it's a big rock and they can take whatever they want and move on. But just switching to that awareness of the communion that quote unquote talking to plants gives you, talking to animals, it starts to create this space where you have these energetic tendrils of connection again. And also, the more you function from gratitude, that starts to occur too. So the space of gratitude that you would have for a plant, an animal, a person, starts to increase the energetic connection that you have with the planet. And one other thing on that, I want to say again, this thing that we can do with plants and with animals is practice for how we can be with people. But let's not expect the people to function from no point of view like the plants do. Let's realize that the thing that limits people's willingness to receive from us and give to us is all of their shit going on in their head. But what if we can be like, you know what? It's okay. You don't have to be or do anything for me. I'm over my projections and expectations that you need to be a certain way, that you need to be this way to receive from me. It's okay. Then we be more like walking plants on the planet. So anyway,
And
can I say one of the other? Oh, go ahead. You go.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to add, because you mentioned gratitude, and so often we don't include us in that part.
Sorry, did you say something? Nobody heard you? Were you speaking English? So true. I so love the things that you're bringing up and adding to this, is because it's vital to have all of that. And this is what I perceive being possible, is practice. With us practicing with the plants, it gives us a different energy that we can be. Not think about being, not try to make ourselves be, but we just be different. You can't lower your walls and barriers and communicate with a plant and go away being as uptight as you were before and as constipated energetically. You know, you can't. It's this amazing gift without us doing, like, I am going to do the work of lowering walls and barriers and pretending I like people and acting like I don't hate myself, and it's going to work, I'm sure. This is just you step into a space of being it with a facilitator of consciousness, which all the plants are, even the ugly ones. Wait, can I just ask you a question? Have you ever actually seen an ugly plant?
Well, I haven't, but I know that there are people that actually say certain plants are ugly. So, you know.
I know. But those people, that's what people have learned, is to judge. But that's the way they think. See, somebody who does that thinks then that the plant that they say is beautiful, they're really attaching a value to it now because everything else is ugly, which is a very strange system to try to live from. Because what we're really talking about, as I pointed out in the last 2 lives, what we're really talking about is, how do we live on this planet? It's not just about talking to plants and being inspired and what can I do, but how do we live on this planet? The only thing that is truly sustainable is for us to change how we live into a sense of more communion, less judgment, more joy, more gratitude, more sense of possibilities, more connection with the planet. And all of these things start to occur with everything that we've been talking about doing. But this is such a beautiful part of it.
Well, also in, taking a lot of classes with you and Access and playing with these tools, so much of what it has invited me to is this sense of adventure. That there's no destination that you get there and you did it right and now you're going to get the gold star, and even when I graduated from grad school, I was like, how come people weren't cheering? It was each thing isn't aha, it's finally done. It's this constant shifting, changing. That's the one thing that we know, is that everything's going to keep changing. And as you're engaging with the change along the way, how much can you enjoy? How much can you discover? What more can you be aware of? What more can you invite, in the world around you? And so if you're talking to a plant, or, I'll just stick with plants because they're less complicated than people. But if you have a point of view about what you need to figure out, and you need to talk to the plant, and it's going to be like this, then you close your eyes and ears to everything else that you can discover in this adventure. And it may be that you go and talk to a plant and you're just like, ooh, orange, whoa, orange is a color. Wow, you're orange. Look, oh, it's got a little bit of red. And like, you know, even that's talking to it, that's engaging with it. And that's like bringing some spark into your world that you can then like shower into the world around you. And it doesn't have to have this like, now I know a specific thing about this plant and I'm going to use that information to like make the perfect garden and everybody will come and like cheer my garden because I did it right, you know? It's not about that. It's just about like going on the adventure. And as you're going on the adventure, you get to like continuously seek to be aware of more, to be able to be even more finely tuned to everything that's going on around you so that you can like play with it.
Play with it. Because that thing, I love what she said about, you know, you'll use the same thing that is screwing you up in every other area of your life to screw this up too. It's called your mind. Your mind is a dangerous thing. Waste it. This is a chance to go beyond it because the plant will show you how, if you allow it to. And, you know, and also, you know, you'd be like, oh, we talked about talking to plants today. It's just one of the venues that is widely available to actually have a different energetic interaction with the world. But do y'all notice, as I don't know if you can sense it or not, but as I've been sitting here admiring them. Monica's been sitting here admiring them. A lot of you may have been sitting here admiring them. I don't know about you, but for me, they're coming more alive. Like if I had an aura meter, arometer, aurameter, it's getting bigger somehow. It's just got more, it's like more, hi.
Yeah, and the colors are brighter actually.
Thank you. I was going to say that, but I thought people think I was nuts, except people probably already think I'm nuts.
No, I'm nuts. It's good.
That was great. I know. And when she pointed at the red and the orange, it was like, they're like, yeah. And that's the thing is we've all had things like this occur and we acknowledge it. And then sort of we think we might be crazy. And we go to tell people and we're like, and why do we always tell the person who absolutely cannot receive it? Another element of home play. Stop talking to people who can't receive the magic you know is possible. Just stop talking to them about magic. You may still have to talk to them about all kinds of other things, like where you're going to put your shared children, for example. Okay? And who's picking whom up when. And you get the idea. Okay? Everything that brought up. Little PTSD activated in the room and all around the world. Everything that is, right, wrong, good and bad, pot and buck, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. But stop talking to people who can't perceive or receive magic. Stop talking to people who refuse magic about magic. Talk to them about, I don't know, if you really want to have a good day, talk politics. There you go. Don't talk to them about, oh my God, I was on this live and literally the colors seemed like they changed. But I thought I was crazy until they pointed it out. And I'm like, oh my God, they actually did change. That is bizarre. You know? And you wonder then, is it just in my sense of the colors? Well, who cares? Who cares? If you're willing to open up your world and perceive these more and receive the gift of them more, who cares? How friggin' awesome is that? That you can have an interaction with something that the person next to you doesn't have to get for you to get it. Because I'm having this no matter who in the room is getting it. But the funny part that I've noticed when you're with people who are willing to have even a little bit of magic, when you get the magic, their world opens up to allow more magic. That's the way magic works. And by the way, if we're truly going to change things on this planet, we're truly going to create a sustainable living earth, the one thing it is going to take is consciousness. Okay? That is the one thing that will change everything. Plants, conscious, can show you how to be more conscious, meaning less point of view, more receiving, more gifting, more beauty, more joy, more possibilities. Okay? And why do I say consciousness is the one thing? Well, consciousness is where everything exists and nothing is judged. And all of those advancements in technology and different ways of doing things and getting energy, for example, the ways they're finding now of getting plastic out of the ocean and then recycling it and selling products from it to make it sustainable, the different things about like on Tales by Light, if you saw the one about the island in, not the island, the islands in somewhere, I don't remember, where they made them a sanctuary and now everything is thriving. That was by making people more conscious and aware of what was going on, okay? Because this one person had a level of consciousness and this other person had a level of consciousness, and they wanted to make, once they made people aware of what was going on, that's one thing, okay? But the way consciousness works is it presents you miraculous and magical ways of solving problems that you never saw before. But it's only when you open up to the consciousness, because if you look at it and go, well, we've got to overfish because we need to feed people. Well, in this area, what they did is they set up areas where there were no fishing and they enforced it. And they got so many fish living in the no fishing areas that then those fish went to the other areas where now they're being fished, and now it's actually friggin' sustainable. That is a result of an increase in consciousness. And I've tried to explain this to people for years, and I think finally I might actually be able to talk about it. That's an increase in consciousness, because consciousness is where you don't limit your field of view of possibilities by your judgments and by what is right and by what is the way we've done it before and by what is wrong. Instead, you also don't limit the magic that can show up by believing that you have to figure it out according to something that has previously existed, and that we need to do some different version of what has existed. With consciousness, you could ask for and have a totally different reality about something that is truly friggin' magical. Because if you watch that thing on Tales by Light, if you watch part of what David Attenborough was talking about in the solutions to the problem, if you watch Kiss the Ground, that shit is fucking miraculous. And it's available right friggin' now. And so part of the thing, that's what inspired this, was hope. I had a sense of hope. And then I realized with Access Tools, plus hope, plus a bunch of crazy people like you guys around the world, there might be something we could actually friggin' do. But you know what? That something is what we friggin' be. It's actually us being the being that we be, that we don't even realize that we be, that a plant can show us a bit about what we be, and we get to be more of us. And then we interact with a person and we're like, wow, that was different. Huh, I used to be like that in my being, but now I'm not being like that anymore, so it feels weird to be around them. I must be changing. And so the element of consciousness is the crucial element in us creating a sustainable living, because consciousness is continuously sustainable. Consciousness, if you don't go against it, okay? If you don't choose unconsciousness, which is where you make yourself unaware, or anti-consciousness, which is where you choose against consciousness, which is what we see a lot of on the planet, where, like, I don't know, opening oil drilling in the Arctic, excuse me, that is a very anti-conscious choice. And that's why it feels like it twists your guts anytime you're in the presence of an anti-conscious choice by someone, especially if it affects a large group of people, you're going to get a twist in your guts. And that idea that we should just be able to drill everywhere because we need the oil and we need the energy, well, we wouldn't if we took some of these other avenues for creating energy. We wouldn't need to rely on fossil fuels in the way that we do, but we have heavily vested interests. And what the heavily vested interests are not doing is functioning from consciousness. They're functioning from unconsciousness of any other possibility. And anti-consciousness, which is where they go against looking for any possibility, or they kill any other possibility with legislation or buying the patent or whatever it is. But here's the deal. If you resist and react to that, you're now the effect. Instead, ask a simple question. What's it going to take to change this? What can I be to change this? Expand out 100,000 miles. What one molecule of industry can I change? What one molecule of this industry can I change that will lead to consciousness? What one molecule of government can I change that will lead to consciousness? And what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can I be to be the energy, space, consciousness, and choice I truly be with total ease? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Because it's one thing to talk to other people about they should get conscious when you're not. Not really a conversation you can really have. But what is conscious? Well, as you get more conscious, you judge less. You look for more possibilities. You function more like a plant in the world where people will go, "You're a jerk." And the plant goes, "Hi. You don't understand. You're ugly. Hi. You're so beautiful. Hi." You know, that's the plant's point of view. Well, how much more would you like you? And how much more do you like you when you're functioning more like the plants and the animals and the earth itself? And what if part of this journey is us getting to like us more? Because if we look at this for a moment, if we lived on a planet of people who actually like themselves, could you imagine? Somehow we press some magic switch we didn't know existed. And we wake up tomorrow and everybody likes themselves. Just get a sense right now of the earth and how it would be like singing. Oh my God, hello. So just some possibilities.
I was in a park in Latvia once, years ago.
As you do.
And it was like a beautiful day. The sun was shining and people were like playing frisbee and kids were swinging. And I sat there and it was the first time that I had this sense. And it was the only time so far that was so strong where it was like the earth was so happy that her people were happy. And it was just this sense of like the joy that park and everybody in the park there was just this sense of satisfaction in the world, you know? And it's like this amazing nurturing planet that is like providing such beauty for us, taking care of our bodies in all of these different ways for us to actually thrive. What a gift that is, you know? And like, also what you were saying about the consciousness and the unconsciousness and like, just choosing to be more aware, like as you walk through the world, you can be that gift to the world, you know? And how cool that we get to make this choice to like move into the awareness that is fueled by our gratitude, that is fueled by our joy, not by our suffering and fighting, you know, but that we get to walk through the world and like just kind of sing the praises of the world, and that actually feeds the world. Like, what a cool setup.
Totally. What a cool setup. The way it's actually set up underneath and through and beyond all the stuff that we've been told is a really cool setup. And when I say consciousness is the one thing that will change everything, I'm not saying access consciousness, but there is a reason why we called it access consciousness and why we created access consciousness to make it easier for you to access your consciousness. But quite frankly, I don't care if you ever come and do access consciousness. All I do know is there's a bunch of tools and a lot of energetic inspiration. Like, how do you live in this reality without being the effect of this reality? And so all the stuff that I've been talking about on the lives, you know, if you're new to access or, you know, never done it, that's not the point. The point is take this stuff, use it so you can be like a walking, talking plant, animal, magical creature on the planet that invites this possibility into being. Because once again, it's the energy and the space that we all choose to be that is the sum total of the energy and space that our reality functions as. Just saying. Just thought I'd like to put that in your awareness. And so we are getting close to time. I want to give an element of home plate. Find a plant and talk to it. Okay? I want you to find a plant and find a tree and talk to it. And this can last for anywhere between 30 seconds and 3 hours. Okay? Whatever works for you and the plant. But you'll notice the plant will never get bored with you. Ooh, one other thing I'd like you to do. You can do it right now, you can do it later. But if you know of a really big tree somewhere, especially if you have one close to you, I like to do this when I'm in my at home because I've got a lot of them in my backyard. And but what I'd like you to do is just tap into the energy of the tree right now. I just kind of like, hello, tree. And I'm thinking of some of the ones in my backyard. Plus this beautiful one in Mexico that was so, oh my God, it was amazing. Now, notice Is the tree peaceful? Yeah. Does it have a point of view? No. But is it also intense, energetically moving? It's actually got a lot of intensity energetically, which is something we often miss. We think, oh, it's a big, slow tree. It's big, it's in total allowance. It has been being there for years, but energetically is very intense. I just wanted to point that out and give you those two elements of home plate. And the other one, which was find one thing to have childlike wonder about between now and the next life. Okay. Also, this is movie week. So I hope like maybe once, a day you're watching these amazing documentaries for what they open up in your world. See, part of the beauty of this is we don't need to be the source for opening up your world. There's all kinds of resources that we can use to open up each other's worlds. So everywhere you decided you had to be the sole source and resource for opening up the world and opening up other people's worlds and getting people to pull their head out of their butts and get more aware, will you just join and create it all, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Ladies, anything else you wanted to add?
Just so grateful to be here. Thank you, Dain.
So grateful to have you. Thank you, my dear. And you and I are going to do one on talking to animals.
All right.
Okay? Because Suzy does this. It's amazing. She's an animal. Like, she just is. Yes. So, anything else?
I'm excited to live in a world where more people are talking to plants. And it's very greedy because I just want more flowers. And I know that more people talking to more plants, a lot of the time the plants respond in flowers. Not all the time, but yeah.
That is true. You have an energetic interaction with it, unlike most people. And it's like, like you bring out its joy. Like think about what it's like to be with somebody and be received by them. Isn't that one of the most amazing gifts in the world when you're received by them? And we've said in Access for a long time, one of the most seductive things in the world is when somebody sees you with no judgment. And that's when you do that with a plant and you acknowledge the being, more flowers. Like our place that we moved into, we've got an acre on the bayou here in Houston. And it had hardly any birds, hardly any insects, no lizards. They had actually put they had put a deck over 90% of the backyard. So they covered all the nature with wood. And we moved in and we're like, take that shit out now. And within a couple years, the number of birds that are there singing all the time, the number of lizards, the number of insects, and the number of different flowers and trees is just phenomenal. It feels like the wild kingdom in my backyard. And I just realized I've been grateful for it, but I could be even more grateful for it. And grateful for how amazingly phenomenal it is, because it's received the gratitude that we gift it and gifts back this, and it makes living so much more wonderful. And this really, once again, is about living being more wonderful. We start living more wonderful, we have way more ability to create a sustainable living earth. Notice that living word in there? Okay, one more element of home play. Find a plant that needs your attention, that is not so far gone that it's probably about to die, and just love on it a little bit. Just be like, whatever. Just, you know what? Whatever you require, dear plant, I'm here for you, okay? And then the other thing that I'm going to close with this, which I was going to start with this, which is when Monica said the other day, she's like, yeah, I was asking my plants, what could I contribute? And they said, just receive some loving. And I was like, that's what the earth desires of us. But we're so strangely wired that we have these things that really want to contribute to us, but we've been keeping them out. Will you stop keeping out those things that want to give you some loving now? And realize you're worthy of the loving, you deserve the loving. It might be more fun to have the loving and receive the loving and love it back and see what the fuck else is possible. Thank you all. Suzy, thank you. Monica, thank you. Thanks, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.